deciding to make another video. It's been quite some time. In this video, I'm really going to focus on cohesively tying everything together that I've been experiencing throughout this last semester. I am in my last 5 days of the semester. I head back to the States in 5 days. It's quite wild to realize. So I'm going to start out with kind of discuss, I have this paper to cohesively guide me so that I can really give this video the insight it deserves. So yeah, I'm at the end of my semester. I've done a lot through this program so far. I have traveled to various different parts of Costa Rica. Pardon the noise, it's hard to find a quiet space here at the school. But yeah, so I've traveled to like the Guanacaste area. I've been throughout Limon. I just got back from Panama where I was in Bocas del Toro. I've worked with a few different organizations looking at how they're combating different global issues, as well as I've been introduced to different indigenous communities and talked to them about the sacred knowledge and the struggles that they are dealing with urbanization and globalization, and how they're doing a great job at, working with what they got. So that's been pretty cool. But then also on the other hand, that's the academic portion of what I've been kind of experiencing. And so now I'm going to go more into depth with emotionally. So it's been rough, to be completely honest and vulnerable. It's been rough. Traveling has a very intense way of surfacing suppressed emotions or experiences that maybe you didn't even recognize what they were, and getting clarity on that. So that's been happening a lot, revolving around just past traumas and different constructs that I've been instilled with. It's been interesting, to say the least. I really, I haven't really been... I wish I would have looked back at the previous videos. I just recently watched them. And oh my goodness, the person I was before I came here, I love her so much, and the insights that I was sharing about myself and what I was learning and how I was being prepared. It could have been so useful, because in this new environment, you get distracted and you get influenced in different ways, or I don't know, a lot of it was like I was being really hard on myself and not really remembering exactly who I am, kind of having identity struggles. So that was, it's interesting. It's interesting kind of what happens to you. It's like, I'm the same person as I was before, but these experiences are impacting me in a way that I'm changing, but then also an aspect of everything in my life is dramatically different than it was before. I don't have any family here. I don't have any friends. It was a fresh slate that I was prepared with, but I also had expectations of how it was going to be, which didn't necessarily prepare me as best as... I prepared as best as I could have, to be completely honest, but definitely things came up. I've been struggling a lot with self-confidence and, like I said, identity, and different emotional blockages have been coming up that I thought were previously healed, but as I've come to find that they're not, and there's still work to be done in transforming, my past and how I react to it in the present, and then how I want to heal over in the future. I've been really working with that, and also kind of like my calling, wondering what my calling is now that I'm getting all this information. It's interesting because I'm being presented with so much, where before I was so passionate about doing environmental focuses, and I still am, but I'm also learning how broad that is and how much fits into environmental issues, and how basically everything, as in global issues with social, economic, and economical focuses, fits into environmental issues. It's all interdisciplinary. So that's been really interesting analyzing. and I have some key topics that I wrote down on my lovely guide that I've really benefited from and what I'm really taking away from this semester. And I wrote it down to be able to really process it in a constructive and beautiful way. So here I go. The main thing that I'm gonna start out with expressing that I've been impacted by is the understanding that there is a point to my uncomfortability. There is a point to it, and the point is to grow, and that if I'm uncomfortable, then I'm comfortable. And sometimes when you're comfortable, you can sit stagnant. Sometimes that doesn't have to do with being stagnant. Yeah, you're just comfortable and you're relaxing, but if I'm not being uncomfortable, then there's like not that push to know that there's more to work with and heal and understand. So that's been really, really interesting to analyze, especially in the terms of triggers. Before coming to Costa Rica, I never really was affected in a triggering mentality. I could go into conversations clear-headed and not really be like emotionally and even energetically like resistant. And so one of the key things that LU Global Services have discussed is triggers, because we're going into some pretty rough situations. I've been in like some of the poorest towns I've ever experienced, like squatter towns, it's you see some rough stuff, and that's the world, and you're really seeing it, and sometimes it's rough, and it can trigger emotions that you didn't know were there, or even just getting catcalled to the side of the street can trigger very rough things that you weren't prepared to deal with. And so when I experienced triggers at first, it was like I was very resistant, kind of like, okay, I'm not gonna go into that. I would bypass it, and that didn't help at all. And so LU Global Services really helped me understand the importance in going into those triggers and kind of feeling the emotions and letting them be raw and not trying to manipulate them to make me feel more comfortable, and allowing myself to really be uncomfortable and authentically learning from what those triggers are trying to tell me. I'm just learning with what you're handed with and going with it, knowing that you can get through it and you can understand what's going on and have a better sense of yourself on the other end. Because when you're spiritually, or when you just bypass situations because they're uncomfortable, you're not helping yourself. You're not really, that trigger is just going to keep coming up and coming up and coming up until you finally face it head on, which is what I've really had to learn. And that's been really, really interesting to see the different situations that's manifested in. And when it first started to come up, I was like, wow, like looking at who I was before and what was going on with me in Houston and how magically beautiful that is, and I'm so thankful for that place, and I'm also very thankful for this place. But at first it's like you witness that change in yourself and the different emotions that come up, and it can feel like a setback, especially when you're on this like beautiful experience surrounded by very magical and beautiful people, and then you come to a place where you're all by yourself, and like it's really interesting. But I've learned to recognize that it's not a setback whatsoever. In no way was it a setback. What was going on was my spirit and like my own consciousness was revealing to me that there's still more healing work to be done. And that doesn't mean that I'm not as strong as I was before by any means. If anything, I'm stronger for going into it in this way. And looking at it with a lens of compassion and seeing how I can work with this moment that is rough. And knowing that on the other end of it, I will be so much stronger than I was before what felt like a setback. But really it was a setback. And honestly, it was a setback. Yeah. So yeah, and the power of being compassionate towards myself and loving myself and opening space for healing. When I first got to Costa Rica, I was so overwhelmed with school and my new environment and adjusting and adapting that I really wasn't opening much opportunity for self-healing and well-being practices. So I am a very regular practitioner of yoga and Reiki healing and meditation, different healing modalities, and I wasn't taking the time to really practice them when I got here, and that was the most, at first I was in this honeymoon stage where everything was beautiful and magical, and that was basically the last video I made, kind of. And then you reach this crisis where you're like, holy shit, what's going on? And I kind of went through that until October when Dasher, my partner in love, came to Costa Rica, and he totally knocked me back into tyranny and kind of pushed me to start doing yoga again and doing all these beautiful attributes I was doing before, dancing, singing, just being who I am and opening that space for self-love and self-expression. And that was profound. So then after that, I rose from that crisis stage and was kind of just in this level of, okay, being mindful of what I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing, and how I can fluidly move through that with a healing and transformative perspective. And knowing how to